Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of Make It Healthier, where I will be taking popular recipes and substituting the unhealthy and more refined ingredients for healthier alternatives. So I'll be making the recipes vegan, lower fat, and more whole food and more nutritious. So for the banana bread, I have two recipes. The first is baked, so it's very much like a normal banana bread, just a lot healthier. And that'll be baked in the oven. And then the second is more of a mock banana bread, so I'm blending the ingredients up and making little banana bread balls. For the first recipe, we are using coconut flour. This coconut flour has been made by dehydrating the coconut meat and then grinding it up into a flour, so it's actually a whole food. I've then used baking soda. So I have to use this because I want the recipe to rise. I want it to be like regular banana bread. Baking soda needs something acidic, which is why most of these recipes will have baking powder with the baking soda. You can also substitute the baking powder for blackstrap molasses, and this will add a lot more nutrients into your banana bread. The first thing you actually do when making this recipe is make your vegan egg. And you mix 2 tablespoons of ground flax seeds with 6 tablespoons of water. And you mix that all up and then you set it aside for about 10 minutes. So you can make that first and then get on with the rest of the recipe. The next thing you to do is take your 4 bananas and mash them up into a bowl with either a potato masher or a fork. Once you've done that, we can then add our dry ingredients. So we'll be using 80 grams of coconut flour. We'll be using the baking soda, which is half a teaspoon. You can also add the baking powder here and the cinnamon for the flavour. The sugar alternative in this recipe is date syrup. I've used a sticky date syrup to help the recipe combine a lot better. In these types of recipes, you can also substitute the sugar for date sugar, which is just dates ground up. So that is a whole food and a great alternative for sugar. So you mix your date syrup, your blackstrap molasses if you're using it, and your vegan egg and mix that all together. For extra flavour, you can add kind of a chocolatey element to this. So the healthiest version would be using raw cacao, or you can use 100% cocoa buttons, which I've used in this recipe and it went really well. You then line your baking tray with some baking paper. Set your oven to 150 Fahrenheit or gas mark 4. Pour the mixture into the baking tray and place it into the oven for about an hour. I usually check it after about 50 minutes and I'll put the knife in just to make sure that the mixture doesn't stick to the knife, and that's how you know that your banana bread is ready. This is how it came out with the blackstrap molasses. So as you can see, it is a slightly darker recipe and it hasn't risen quite as much compared to this version where I've used the baking powder and baking soda. Both recipes are really tasty. I was really pleased with how they came out. I definitely recommend this recipe as it is a easy, no blender recipe and a great example for how you can substitute unhealthy ingredients for healthier ones. This second recipe is even easier. All you need to do is take the ingredients, put them in a blender, blend the ingredients into a dough, take the dough and then roll the dough into little balls in your hand. I recommend taking about 50 grams of the flour into the recipe. So here I've used the coconut flour, but you can also use almond or oat flour. And if you try it with 50 grams, then once you've got the mixture out of the blender into a bowl, keep adding a little bit more flour until you have your desired consistency. So you want it so it's like a dough but not too dry. Once you've got your little balls, you can then put it into the fridge for at least an hour just to let the recipe firm up a little bit. And then you're done. These are really tasty treats. They freeze really well and they can last quite a while in the fridge and the freezer. This is why I like raw recipes so much, is because they're not only are they healthier, but they're easier. You just bang all the ingredients into a blender, blend, and it's ready. So I would strongly recommend you experiment with some different raw recipes, including this banana bread. So I hope you've enjoyed the video and thank you for watching. Bye.